Hello everyone, I'm Frank, and welcome to episode 36 of Learn How to Sudoku, where we take very easy variant Sudoku puzzles and we break them down into detail so that you can learn how to Sudoku. Today's very easy puzzle is called Morning Exercise by Asvaril, and here are the rules. Normal Sudoku rules. Fill each row, column, and 3x3 box with the digits 1 to 9 once each. Digits on thermometers increase starting at the bulb end. So basically, on a thermometer, you have to be consistently increasing from the bulb to the tip. So as an example, this could be something like 1, 2, 4, 7, 8. And this works because it's constantly increasing from the bulb to the tip. If, however, say you made this essentially a 5, that would not work because the 5 is decreasing to the 4, which is not allowed on thermometers. And that's the rule set for thermometers. Purple lines must contain a set of consecutive digits in any order without repeats. And this is called a Renban line. So basically, on this Renban line, you have to have a consecutive set of digits without repeats. So for example, if you had a 9 on this Renban line, you would know the other digits on this Renban have to be 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it can be in any order, so it could be something like this. We don't really know what the order is, but you have to have essentially a consecutive set. And the only 5 set of digits that are consecutive with 9 in a normal Sudoku are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So therefore, if you had a 9, you would know that it would have to specifically be 5, 6, 7, and 8 with it, because those are the only 4 other digits that form a consecutive set with the 9. And that's how Renbans work. Along green German whisper lines, digits must differ from their neighbors by at least 5. So as an example, if this were a 3, this would have to be an 8 or a 9, because neighbors on a German whisper line have to have a difference of 5, and the only digits that can be next to 3 would have to be then an 8 or a 9, because they both differ from 3 by at least 5. And the final rule is Kropke dots. Cells separated by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio. Cells separated by a white dot must be consecutive. Not all dots are given. So for example, if this were a 2, this would have to be a 1 or a 4 to maintain the 1 to 2 ratio. For the white Kropke dots, if this were a 7, this would have to be an 6 or an 8 to be consecutive with it. And those are all the rules. If you'd like to play along, there's going to be a link in the description. And now, I'm going to get started. Let's learn how to Sudoku. Okay. So what I like doing for thermometers is just starting from the bulb to the tip, starting with basically figuring out what the least possible number could be, and then going from the tip back to the bulb, figuring out what the most each cell could be. So this cell could be 1 at least, right? Because that's the minimum number in Sudoku. This has to be at least 2 because it has to be greater than one other cell. This must be 3 because it must be greater than both of these cells. This must be 4 at least because it must be greater than these 3 cells. And this must be 5 at least because it must be greater than these 4 cells. And this has to be 5. Now, what could this be? This could be 9 at most. So this is 5 through 9. This has to be less than this digit. So this must be 4 through 8 at least. This has to be less than these 2 cells. So therefore, this must be 7 at least. Or at most, sorry. So it's 3 through 7. This could be... this has to be 6 at most. And so therefore it could be 2, 3, 4, but it cannot be 5 because 5 can never be on a German whisper line. So the reason why 5 can't be on a German whisper line is because 5 is 5 away from 0 and less, and 0 is not a normal Sudoku digit, and it's also 5 away from 10 or more, and 10 or more are obviously not digits. So again, that's the reason why 5 cannot be on a German whisper line. And this still could be 5 at most, because it has 4 digits that are higher than it, and therefore this could be 1 through 5. This is interesting. If this is a low number, actually, let's go through this way. So this is also the same, right? This is 1 through 5. This has to be 2 through 6, 3 through 7, 4 through 8, and 5 through 9 here. Well, this is in a 1 to 2 ratio with another digit, though. So what could this be, actually? It could be 3, and this could be 3 with 6. It could be 4, 4 with 2 or 8, and this could be 6 with 3. It cannot be 5 or 7, because 5 or 7 does not have a... 5 and 7 are not double of any digit, and 5 or 7, when you double it, it becomes a 2-digit number, so therefore it's not possible to be in a 1 to 2 ratio with a single digit. So since this can't be 7 anymore, this can't be 6 because this one has to be lower than this one, and this can't be 5 because it has to be lower than this one. Did we get any other information? Not particularly. Where should we tackle next? Let's tackle the German whisper line. This, if it's 2, 3, or 4, okay, let's start with 6. If this is 6, this would have to be 1 or 1, right? So that's a possibility. If this is 6, this would be 1 and 1, because 6 can only be next to 1 on a German whisper line, right? Because that's the only digit that's 5 away, 5 or more away from a 6. If this is 2, 3, or 4, it has to be next to a 7, 8, or a 9. Well, if that's the case, this digit has to be in a 1 to 2 ratio with another digit. Well, 7 and 9 can't fulfill that criteria because 7 and 9 are not double another digit, and 8 and 7 or 9, if you double them, becomes 14 or 18, which is not a digit. So this must be 1 or 8. This still could be 7, 8, or 9 in this cell. So this 1 or 8 is in a 1 to 2 ratio with 2 or 4. 1 with 2 and 8 with 4. So if this is a low, this would then have to, this would be 6, this would be 1. This could be 7, 8, or 9. But it can't be 7, actually, because if this were 7, this can't be 7, which means this can't be 6, right? And the only reason why this is 1 is if this is 6. So if this is 6, this has to be 1. This has to be 7 then, which would force this to be 8 or 9. And the 8 or 9 could not be with a 2, because this would be 1 here, which would force this digit to be a 2. So therefore, this would have to be 3 or 4 if this is 8 or 9. Okay. Now, if this is 2, 3, or 4, it cannot be 4 anymore, because 4 is not 5 away from 8. So this can't be 4. So this is 2 or 3. If this is 2 or 3, this has to be 8 and 4. So this could be 1, 2, or 3, and this next digit could be 6 through 9, unfortunately. So that's a lot. Huh. What else do we have here? Well, okay, let's figure out what the opposite sets are. We're just going to color these random sets. Okay, so on a German whisper line, you'll always have a digit that's either high or low, and then it will alternate between the high and the low, right? So the low digits are 1 through 4, high digits are 6 through 9. So therefore, if you have a 1 through 4, they can only be next to the digits 6 through 9 on a German whisper line. Because if you take the lowest digit, 1, and you say what digits can be next to it, it has to be at least 5 away from the 1. That would be 6 and higher. Similarly, so therefore 1 through 4 has to be next to a 6 through 9. A 6 through 9, well, what digits are 5 away from the highest digit, which is 9? It's 4 or less. So therefore you have to have a 1 through 4 next to that 6 through 9 digit. So it will always alternate between high and low. So we always alternate sets then on a German whisper line. So this would be pink, this would be orange, this would be pink, orange, pink, orange, and pink. 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 We can get a pink eventually. There we go. Now, this is interesting. Okay, so let's go on this thermometer. Normally, it would be 1 through 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 7, and 4 through 8, and 5 through 9. But if this were a 2, this would have to be a 1, which is consecutive with only 2. So therefore, this can never be a 2 then. It has to be at most a... yes, it has to be at least a 3. Because if this were 2, again, this would have to be 1, which is only consecutive with 2, and therefore that would break the Sudoku rules. So that's not allowed. This has to be at least 3, which means this has to be at least 4. This has to be at least 5. This has to be at least 6 then, because of how that works. Now, what's missing from column 6? You can't have an 8, 9 here, and you can't have an 8 or 9 here. Where can they be? Well, they can be in these 3 cells, but we know if this is an 8 or 9, these have to be low digits, which means the other 8 or 9 cannot be there. Therefore, this cannot be an 8 or 9. It has to be 8 or 9 here and 8 or 9 here. Therefore, the pinks are all high. So we know these are high digits. The oranges are all lows. So that has to be a low digit. Therefore, we know this is a 6, which is next to a 1 and a 1. So this is 2. This has to be then 7, which makes that 8, which makes that 9. This can no longer be 8. This cannot be 7 or 8. So this is at most 6, which means this is at most 4, which means this is at most 3, and this must be at most 2. So this is 3 or 4, it has to be with 2 or 6. This, again, has to be 8 and 9, 8 and 9, because that's the only possibilities for it. Where is the 5, then, possible in column 6? 5 can never be on a German whisper line, as we said. This can no longer be 5 because, well, it never could be 5. But this can't be 5 because it can't be greater than 5. Also, we know this is, since this is a 2, this can't be 2, so this must be a 3. This can't be 1, 2, or 3 because it can't be, it has to be high. And this has to be specifically 3 or 4. So this is a 3, which forces this to be 4, which makes this a 2 because it's a 1 to 2 ratio with 4, and it can't be 8. Therefore, that makes that a 1. Well, what do we have left here? This can't be... This is a low, and it cannot be 1, 3, or 4, so therefore this must be a 2. This can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4, which makes that a 5. Therefore, that makes this 6, this 7, this has to be 8, this has to be 9. This can't be 9 anymore. This can't be 4 anymore. This has to be greater than 4, but less than this digit, and this can't be 7, 8, or 9. So therefore, this must be a 6, and this must be a 5. The remaining digits are 3 and 9. This can't be 1 or 2. The remaining digits in row 3 have to be 3 or 9. So this is 3 or 9, this is 3 or 9. This cannot be in the one or two. Hmm. This cannot be 6, and it cannot be 8 or 9. So it's a high. So this must be 7, which forces this to be a 1 then. Because this can't... The only other digit that can be next to a 7 besides a 2 on a German whisper line is a 1. So this is 1. The remaining digits in row 7 have to be 1 through 6. These two cannot be 5 or 6 because we have a 5, 6 in the same box. This can't be 1 or 2 because this has to be, this can't be 1 or 2. This can't be 1 or 2 because of this 1, 2. This can't be 6, this can't be 1. What's in a 1 to 2 ratio here? It could be 3 with 6, but this can't be 6, so therefore this can't be 3. 4 cannot be with 2, but it could be with 8, so this could be 4, 8. 5 can't be in a 1 to 2 ratio with any other digit. 6 could be in a ratio with 3. So this is 4 or 6. Let's see. This 5-digit Renman could be 1 through 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 7, or 4 through 8. It can never have a 9. So 1 through 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 7, or 4 through 8. So that means it has to have a 4, and it has to have a 5. Right, 1 through 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 7, or 4 through 8. Right, because this is at its max has to be at least a 4. So that would have to include a 4, so that would be 4 through 8 as the max Ren band this could be. Still could be a lot of things though. 5 is consecutive with 4. Oh, okay, well there you go. So this can't be 4, this must be 3. Right? The 5 could be consecutive with 4 or 6, but 6 is already taken. This can't be 3 or 4. This then becomes, this can't be 3. This can't be 3. This has to be 3, 1 through 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 7 are the possibilities. Well, we know it needs a 4 at least. It needs a 5. Well, 4 and 5 cannot be here. Therefore, 4 and 5 must be one of these 3 cells. One of these 3 cells. This can't be 5, obviously. Anyways, that means 4 and 5 cannot be in any of the other cells in box 7. And this is box 7 because, by convention, to make it easy for us to communicate, we number the digits in typical Western reading notation. Where we number the boxes, but basically, yeah. So this would be box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, box 5, box 6, box 7, box 8, box 9. Either way, we know that 4 and 5 has to be on the Renban line to form any continuous set. So therefore, it cannot be in any of the rest of the cells in box 7. So it cannot be, 4 and 5 cannot be here. Well, what does that tell us? We have a 1, 2, 1, 2 pair in row 7, which eliminates 1 and 2 from the rest of the row. This cannot be 1 or 2. This cannot be 2. And now we have a 4, 5, 6 triplet. Well, we don't really know. This could actually be many things. This could be 2. It cannot be 3. This is 4, 5, or 6, but this could be 2, cannot be 6, but it could be 1. It could be 7. And this, what can this be? Well, it can't be any digit from 3 through 7, so this actually has to be 1 or 2 specifically. Well, if there's 2 at maximum here, right, it can't be 8 or 9 because 3 cannot be in a 5 set red band with 8 or 9, right? Because 3 can go up to, at most, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with 5 digits. So this can't be 8 or 9. It can't be any of 3 through 7, so it must be 1 or 2. Since this is 2 at the most, that means now the red band has to be 2 through 6 at most. So this can never be 7. Can never be 7. This then has to be 8 and 9, because we have a 1, 2, 1, 2 pair in box 8. And this can't be 9, therefore this is an 8, which makes this a 9. This 8 means this has to be a 3. And 3 is in a 1 to 2 ratio with 6. So this must be 6, which means this can't be 6, and this can't be 6. And again, we need a 4 and a 5 pair in this ren band at least. And this has to be specifically 2 through 6 on this ren band. So this can't be 1 or 2. This must be the 2. And this has to be 1, which makes this 2. Well, where can the 6 be now in column 3? It can't be any of these cells because the 6 eliminates from there. Can't be this because it's filled out, and can't be there because it has to be next to a high digit on a German whisper line. Therefore, this is 6. This has to be 9, so therefore this is 8. 8 can only be next to a 3 of the available options on a German whisper line, so this is 3. That makes this a 9, which makes this a 3. We could have figured that out actually much earlier. Anyways, the remaining digits here in box 1 have to be 4 and 5. We now have a 4, 5, 4, 5 pair in column 2, which eliminates 4 and 5 from the rest of the column. Therefore, this can't be 4 or 5. It must be a 3. What are the remaining digits? It has to be 1 and 7. Well, this can't be 1, so therefore this must be a 7, which makes this a 1. 7, where can it be in column 1? It can't be any of these cells because of the 7 in those boxes, and it can't be these cells because they're filled out, so this must be a 7, which makes this remaining cells in box 7, 8, and 9, but this can't be 8 because of that 8, so this is 9, which makes that an 8. Now, the remaining cells here are 2, 3, and 6, but 6 cannot be consecutive with either 2 or 3, therefore 6 has to be here, and this is 2 or 3, but this can't be 3 specifically because that's 3, so this is 2, which makes that a 3. The remaining digits here have to be 2, 4, or 5. This can't be 2, therefore this must be the 2, which makes this 4 or 5. This is in a 1 to 2, actually this is in a 1 to 2 ratio. It cannot be 3 or 6. This could be 1 or 2 if this is 1 and this is 2. It could be 2 and 4 if this is 2 and this is 4. It could be 4 and 8 if this is 4 and this is 8. Because this can't be 8 because of that 8. And those are the possibilities. This can't be 1 or 2. It could be 2, 4, as long as this is 2 and that's 4. It cannot be 3, 6, and it could be 4, 8, with either of these being 8. So we know 4 has to be one of these two cells. Let's see. Do we have all the 1s? No. 2s? No. What about 3s? We do have, okay, so 3 is eliminated in box 5 from these cells by these 3s. Therefore, it can only be here. Well, now we have 8 3s. So we know where the 3 has to be. In box 6, it has to be here. Well, what does that do to the 2s? 2 is eliminated in box 6 from these cells by these two 2s. And it can't be here. Where can it be? Can't be here because 3 is filled out now. So this must be 2, which makes this a 4. This can no longer be 2, so that forces that to be 8, which is on 1 to 2 ratio with 4. This can't be 4 anymore because of this 4, so this must be 5, which makes that 4, which makes that 5. This 4 makes that 5, and therefore that's a 4. That's a 5. And now we're probably just doing Sudoku now. Remaining digits here. Actually, we have we have 8 2s now, which means we know where the last 2 is. It has to be here. How many? We have all the 3s. 4 cannot be here or here in box 9. Where can it be? It has to be here because these were eliminated by the 4s here. This still, okay, 4 cannot be here in box 5, so it must be here specifically because this 4 eliminates those 4s, and therefore this has to be 4. Well, we have now 8 4s, which means we should be able to figure out where the last 4 is. It has to be here. So that, therefore, that's all 9 4s. The remaining digits here in column 1 are 8 and 9. Well, we have an 8 9 8 9 pair in row 4, which eliminates 8 and 9 from the rest of the row. Therefore, this can't be 8 or 9. This has to be a 5. The remaining digit in box 5 has to be 6, so this is 6. The remaining digit in column 5 has to be 7, so this is 7. The remaining digits in column 4 have to be 5 and 6, and this can't be 6, so this is 5, which makes that a 6. The remaining digit in row 1 has to be a 9. Remaining digits in row 2 are 1 and 7, but they could be either one. So this is 1 or 7, this is 1 or 7. Remaining digits here in row 8 have to be 1 and 7, so this is 1 and 7. We now have a 1 7 1 7 pair in column 9, which eliminates 1 and 7 from the rest of the column. Therefore, the remaining digits are 6 and 8, and this can't be 6, therefore this is 8, which makes this a 6. This 8 means this can't be 8, so this is a 9, which makes that an 8, which makes that a 9, which makes that an 8. Remaining digits here are 7 and 9. This can't be 9, therefore it must be 7, which makes that a 9. This 7 means this is a 1, which makes that a 7, which makes that a 1, which makes that a 7. Remaining digit here is a 1, and remaining digit here is a 5. And that's how you solve it. I kind of went through, well, I don't know. This was probably necessary to go through this, but I'm not sure if I needed to go in that detail because we already had the 9 here, which made this an 8, which probably might have simplified this part a lot more. Anyways, I hope that made sense. Though actually having this as a 5, 6, 7 and this being 4 actually was also where I got stuck a little bit here. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Learn How to Sudoku, and I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.